John Harbaugh, new coach of the New York Giants. Giants have the 5th pick overall after winning 4 games this year. We saw some immediate turnarounds with some coaches, Danny. Ben Johnson, Vrabel, Liam Cohen. Mike McDonald took 2 years, but they're doing pretty well. Do you think the Giants can immediately contend with Harbaugh?
Contend for a playoff spot. You know, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender, but 7 teams make the playoffs, and the Giants, if you like Jackson Dart, have a lot of pieces. If you don't like Jackson Dart, they're a bad football team. I do think it's that simple. Like, they've got Burns and Thibodeau and Carter and Lawrence is like front 7. Mm-hmm. They should have a great defensive core, all under 30. And Malik Neighbors, when he was healthy, looked like a superstar. Yeah. But a front 7 and 1 good receiver, if you have a bad quarterback, means nothing. So I think that John Harbaugh took this job for the $100 million and to live in New York City, but also because he believes in Jackson Dart. I went back and watched there's like a 28-minute highlight montage that NFL Films put out on Jackson Dart today. I was just like, I have the time. There's a lot there. Like, I was surprised at how impressed I was by it. So if you have a coach who is competent, like just like a floor here, yeah, contender for
playoff contender.
Playoff contender. Because like, it was kind of amazing to look back on it. The last time the Giants, when they hired Brian Daboll, that was when there were 10 openings. Right, this year there's 9. 8 of those 10 guys that got hired in 2022 are already fired. So just like a baseline of, I know he can do the job and he won't embarrass us, that is some value to a franchise like the Giants. I don't think they're great, but this is a good day for them, obviously.
No, look, I agree. I said earlier, I think they'll be a playoff contender next year. Number one, coaches make a huge difference. We saw it this year. Liam Cohen, taking them from 4 wins to 13. Mike Vrabel did the same thing. We've seen it, almost every year. Like, good coaches really can turn the team around quickly. Dan Campbell took a year, but got them on the right track. And I agree with you on the talent. And Dart, like, if Jackson Dart can stay healthy, if you look at what, again, I've always said Harbaugh does deserve credit for helping to develop Lamar, but I keep bringing this guy up. Even what he did, he won some games with Tyler Huntley. And they were, if you remember that playoff game with Tyler Huntley, they were in position to beat, I think it was the Bengals.
17-17, they had the ball on the 1-yard line late in the third quarter with Huntley.
The fumble return by the Bengals.
Exactly right.
So they could have maybe won that game with Tyler Huntley. So I'm saying if Dart stays healthy, then he can play as well as Tyler Huntley. There's no question. And so I do think that they can have a good season next year. And remember, that division, I agree, Nick, all 4 of the teams look pretty good. But it's been a division that until this year, nobody had repeated as champion for 20-some-odd years. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying they'll win the division, but they can be in the hunt and certainly in the playoff hunt.
The most important thing to winning a Super Bowl is excellent quarterback play. The most important thing to making the playoffs is excellent coaching.
Yeah.
I have seen Mason Rudolph and old Russell Wilson and young Mac Jones and rookie Bo Nix all make the playoffs recently in the tougher of the 2 conferences over the last decade with Hall of Fame caliber coaches at the helm. And Belichick, Tomlin, Sean Payton. Like, you don't need a great quarterback to get in the tournament. You need a great quarterback to be competitive in the tournament, deep into it, unless you have the team C.J. Stroud has right now or something like that. So I do think that is on the board. I also think that, for me, he would not have been the best coach in a number of divisions. But he wouldn't have been the best coach, for example, in my opinion, the NFC West, the NFC North, the AFC West. That's like, those are 3 definite. And then questions, but he is, in my opinion, the best coach in the NFC East. I have respect for Dan Quinn. I think John Harbaugh is better. I thought Schottenheimer was impressive in year 1, but I obviously, at the moment, think Harbaugh is better. And I just flatly believe he is better than Nick Sirianni. I think the Eagles are a little, kind of feeling like, man, wish maybe he was available a year from now when maybe we might have an opening, because I think he would have fit there perfectly. But it wouldn't have made sense for them to fire Sirianni a year removed from the Super Bowl. So I just think that you have a lot of structural advantages. And on the Dart question, Danny, and this is what I think is why this was such a great hire for the Giants, it removes the variable in evaluating Dart of his coach a nincompoop. And
there's a baseline competency
right,
there.
the baseline competency of we're going to get a real test on who Dart is that I think is super valuable in informing your decisions about what, because a lot of times when teams have stuck with quarterbacks too long, it's been because it's like, well, is he the problem or is the coach the problem? We'll fire the coach, we'll do this. And now I feel like you're going to know that if Jackson Dart just looks awful, it's not because Harbaugh has totally lost it. Now, your skepticism about what if they become real contenders to some of the things that hurt him in Baltimore, hurt him with the Giants, that's a good problem. The Giants would love to have a problem where it's like our coach
They love to
can't.
have the Ravens problem.
Yes.
Right, this is a floor raiser.
Yes.
It's like to argue against my own point, because the question was playoff contenders. I think that is yes. Super Bowl contenders is tough, because this isn't the profile of the coach that I, generally speaking, would get really excited about. And this coaching candidate pool seems a little down. Like, there isn't a Ben Johnson. There isn't a Sean McVay. I would say there's not even a Liam Cohen, who's like young coach, play caller, turned around the quarterback.
Not that we know of. It might be somebody to come out of,
No, definitely. Not that we know. But like a lot of the offensive names that have been out there are like retread guys, right?
Because all of the viable offensive coordinators have been hired in the last 3 cycles.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because there's been such turnover. You know what I mean? The names,
Well,
those
Cliff
guys.
Kubiak, who knows?
So
what
hiring
Kubiak's
a 63-year-old non-offensive genius, non-offensive play caller does come with it, I think, a little bit of a lower ceiling.
Well,
but it raises your floor immediately.
I would say this about it, and obviously I thought, I was open about the Ravens should have fired him. But before, like, let's say he gets them to contention. Maybe, where they're like contender for the Super Bowl in the NFC. I would not automatically, because of the way it ended with the Ravens the last 3 years, I would not say he can't get it done. He's not that guy. He'll build you up, but he's not going to take you to the Super Bowl. Because one, he already did that with Flacco and won. And I would want to see it first. Now, if I started seeing the same problems where, what kind of game plan was that? Or the same mistakes that we saw with the Ravens, then I would think quickly, okay, this is not the guy. But until then, I would give him the benefit of the doubt.
Jackson Dart was also a wild watch, because he's like reckless with the concussions in his head, but he also makes some reckless throws. Some of them work, some of them don't. So just like
There's a lot to
reining
learn
him in both directions would be very valuable, because he's a talented kid.
Texans Patriots, Drake up against the best defense he's faced this year. He paid them some compliments. Danny, who do you trust more here, the Texans defense or the MVP, or maybe MVP runner-up, Drake May?
Your guy, Drake May.
Do you really?
I do. Wow.
Even I'm having a hard time with that one.
Well, and maybe I am conflating this with my pick in the game, but yeah, the Texans defense is excellent, and the Texans defense will show up. There's no doubt about it. But we talk about styles make fights and matchups and all that. Drake May, I showed it to you guys during top 10. I mean, he was the best against pressure this year for completions, yards, touchdowns, passer rating. Like, he is a very athletic, mobile quarterback who has been unfazed under pressure. And so I think he will be able to, he's not going to light up the Texans defense. I don't think anybody can light up the Texans defense. But I think he will be able to mitigate some of their strengths. And so then it's like, I have to flip the question. And I don't trust C.J. Stroud at all. And so maybe I'm answering this question and I'm tipping my hands for what my pick is tomorrow. But I think Drake May will do okay enough against the Texans defense to win the game.
Well, listen, I think I don't mind tipping my pick. I think the Patriots are going to win, but I trust the Texans defense drastically more than I trust Drake May. Like and so our analysis might be similar in that I just think the Texans offense right now has real trouble, and I don't think C.J. Stroud's all of a sudden going to snap back into a player that he really hasn't been in a couple of years. But I just don't. What makes the Texans defense so special is what makes almost every great defense special. they can get blitz-esque pressure without blitzing. So it becomes, and so Drake May was the best quarterback in the league this year against pressure. But that, I would imagine, a lot of that has to do with Josh McDaniels drawing up, blitz beaters and him finding open guys. And I just think that what you're going to have is this secondary plastered to what I think is, Wilds disagrees and it's fine, an underwhelming receiving core. I think the fact that Drake May had this season despite the Patriots receiving core is a testament to May, but I don't think that Booty and Diggs are all of a sudden like an elite pair of receivers. I think they have both been better than I expected this year, but I think that Texans secondary is going to be able to blanket them and cause real troubles. I'm yet to see the defense the quarterback that this defense doesn't give hell to. Like That's true. One quarterback to have an excellent game was Matt Stafford in week 1, and even that game,
it wasn't excellent.
Right.
He had a high passer rating, I think 109.
Exactly.
But
and
one touchdown.
One touch. It just he didn't turn the ball over. 109 rating, but still they won. Like I want to say 13-9 or something. It was something. It was neither team got to 20, and so I just think the Texans defense is as trustworthy a unit as exists in the playoffs at the moment.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm picking the Texans. Sorry.
That's
okay. Wow.
And I
don't take it personally.
I trust obviously their defense more. I do think, Danny, the things that May has going for him is he's so good under pressure from the pass rush. His legs, so if he can get out and run. And as you said, what's C.J. Stroud going to do? He doesn't have to. May doesn't have to put up 30 points to win this game, probably. So those work in his favor. But I just think, again, last week he played fine. I thought he played better than you thought he played. But he did show, he struggled a little bit. And with this defense, I just think they're going to be all over him. And it's like Nick said, it's not going to be blitzing. They're going to get to him, and they're going to be covering the receiver, so he's going to have some trouble. So
when they get to him, he's going to take off.
Yeah.
And I think he learned that in the Chargers game. He had 10 rushes for, I think, 66 yards. It was a career high. It didn't feel like it. Maybe he broke off a long one.
Broke off the long one before first half, before the end of the half. So
then it was like, I think that added to it. Maybe it didn't feel, because I've seen him run more. Drake May scrambling this season, this is where the Texans are gettable, right? So 68 rushes is number 1. First downs, fantastic. 483 rushing yards, second. 3 rushing touchdowns. Texans, 9 rushing yards on scrambles, second worst. So they'll let you go, I guess. And I think Drake's going to take care of it. And Danny, the other weird thing is the fumbles that your Chargers forced, he was actually trying to throw the ball. He'd get grabbed and still try to throw. I think he's now going to just tuck that and go.
Yeah, tuck it and run. And again, this is not like an anti-Texans defense point. They're excellent. I just think we're going to come in on Monday. Who had the better quarterbacked game, Drake May or C.J. Stroud?
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be Drake May, even if he's below all of his season averages, because the Texans defense made an impact in that spot.
I would be very, if I were a Pats fan, I would not like the idea of Drake May being like, I'm going to take off and run a bunch in this game. Because that Texans defense plays through the echo of the whistle, and they are vicious. And I say that in a complimentary way. I would be nervous about a game where Drake May's going to have 8 plays where he's running the ball. Like, unless he is running the ball to the sideline.
Well, and he just needs to slide.
I got to tell you.
No, I know. But
I got to tell you,
for this
I
game,
don't like
better.
sliding against this Texans defense either. Diving, maybe.
He doesn't slide.
Shahir just.
Yeah, I mean,
he's modified the slide, which we've talked about that. Like the slide that Trevor got hurt on last year, I think, where it's just like classic baseball slide. Drake doesn't do that anymore. Smart. Very good. Bills in Denver, Saturday at 4:30. Bills currently have 3 wide receivers on their roster after losing Shavers and Gabe Davis last week. Danny, do you think the Broncos deserve to be favored over Allen and the Bills?
I don't. Listen, we're talking about a 1.5 or 2 of line disagreement here, but Denver's defense is trending in the wrong direction. Their pass rush is still excellent. And the quarterback gap in this game is so significant in Buffalo's favor that I know it's like rudimentary. It's not one-on-one quarterback play. Like Bo Nix isn't on the field when Josh Allen is. Is anyone here prepared to take Bo Nix to win this game over Josh Allen?
I think KW is.
I am. I'm not ready to give you my full argument, but again, I don't believe in the Bills.
Yeah, you haven't believed in the Bills all year. I just think the Broncos, what they've done, is so unsustainable with winning games against bad teams when their quarterback also plays poorly. Like Bo Nix, I think we have it. In games where he has a passer rating below 85, they're 7-1. I just do not trust.
Isn't that a testament to their defense?
Yes.
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is I think Josh Allen is going to put up points on anybody at this point with how he is playing. And if half the time out, Bo Nix is putting up a passer rating in the mid-80s or lower, I just don't think they deserve to be favored in this spot.
So I agree with Danny entirely. I think the Bills are better than the Broncos. The Broncos, they had a very impressive win near the end of the year against a Packers team that becomes slightly less impressive when you now know the context of that was one of 5 consecutive losses for a Packers team that just died after Micah Parsons got injured. I watched this Broncos team by the skin of its teeth against what was left of the Chiefs, against the Raiders, against the Jets, against the Giants, against Washington with a backup quarterback. I watched it all year, and I think the Bills, everyone's focused. I think the vast majority of the audience that are big enough sports fans to be watching this show had not heard of Tyrell Shavers 3 weeks ago. Gabe Davis was available for the whole league to have multiple times since the one big moment of his career, the 4-touchdown AFC divisional game in the 13-second game. These are not key players for the Bills that are out. It's sad for those guys they got hurt, but their best receiver all year is Shakir.
Yeah.
He's there.
And Cooks has made some great catches.
This is a depth story, right?
Yes.
If a guy gets hurt and guys, you can't run all offensive plays with 2 or 3 receivers, so you got to cycle guys in for fresh legs and all that. It's a depth thing.
Hardman's as good as those guys.
Hardman's
Go ahead.
Super Bowl
At times
champion.
it's been better.
But KW, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Because I know you don't believe
Yes,
in
the answer is yes.
Well,
Yes, I've been on the show for a long time. So the answer is yes. That being said,
what's the answer? What's the question? The audience doesn't know.
the audience does know. They've watched the show. Yes, I don't want to play Josh Allen in Foxborough.
It's not that.
That being said, I don't think Josh is 100%.
But you think KW?
I mean,
I don't think they can stop the run.
KW.
So if Sean Payne just runs the ball, controls the clock, we'll go to the building, in fact.
You can lie to us, it's fine. You can't lie to yourself. And I'm telling you, on Saturday, you are going to be rooting for the Broncos because you think, not because you think the Bills aren't scary and the Bills aren't good, but because you would rather the Patriots have to go to Denver than host Buffalo, which means you're the...
Well, they wouldn't have a week of rest.
I think the Bills, you want someone to take care of the Bills for you.
Yes. It's hard to beat a team twice.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
It's hard.
That's what they're saying.
It is
Actually,
hard.
It's not what they're saying. They're saying we want the Patriots.
But then whoever wins that game, if it's you guys, would have beat the other team twice.
Yeah,
right?
but it's hard as a sophomore quarterback to beat a team twice.
Yeah.
Welcome to Frenemies. We'll go with Nick's guy, Stafford. Are you a Stafford guy?
Of course.
Okay. My guy, Caleb, who you abandoned. The Rams travel to Chicago. The forecast, Nick, I don't know if you've heard, a real feel of 18 degrees below zero. Fair weather. But we'll revisit that later. After his 9th fourth quarter comeback, Caleb Williams was asked if he gets any satisfaction from proving his doubters like Chris Broussard wrong. You giving Caleb any shot to keep up with Stafford and the Rams?
Sadly, this is where I must get off the ride.
Oh, my God. Again, you're abandoning us?
I do not see any way that the Bears hold this Rams team under 38. And I don't think that the Bears are going to be able to do to the Rams defense what they did to the Niners defense in Week 17. This is not an indictment on Caleb. This is not, and I don't really care about the weather piece of it, to be totally honest. I think Devontae Adams played decade in the cold. I think Matt Stafford played road games in Detroit and Chicago for the first decade of his career. And I think Puka Nacua doesn't know what the temperature is. So I'm not worried about the Rams' ability to move the ball. And I just, if Jordan Love was able to pick on, and Matt LaFleur were able to pick on Kyler Gordon repeatedly, what is Sean McVay with a weak, healthier Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua going to be able to do? So I just think they're going to have to score 40. And I don't think this Bears team in this spot is ready to score 40. So for that reason, I say no.
We did just see it against the Niners. I understand that the Niners defense in some categories are the worst in the NFL, right? Worst pressure, worst sack defense in the NFL. I think the weather will be a factor, but these are two strong-armed quarterbacks, so I think they'll both be affected equally in whatever direction. The Rams' defense is not that good right now. Like sometimes we have to call it not on the season numbers.
But the last 6 weeks or whatever. Sure.
Right. Well, so just if we look at the last 7 games for both of these teams, some of the stuff is really similar. Like the yards per game allowed, 23rd and 27th in the NFL. Passing touchdowns, identical. Passer rating, very similar. Points per game, way better in the Bears' favor. Some of that you can maybe attribute to the Rams kind of coasting into the end of the season when they didn't really have a great shot at the 1 seed. But Carolina just put up 27 on them. And so the Bears defense is, I agree, Matt Stafford could throw for 600 yards in this game, but I just think the Bears offense is also peaking and also improving, and the Rams defense is very gettable.
So I understand the Rams defense after being one of the 3 best in football early was nothing like it late. I still can't get past the fact that I know Ben Johnson came out and said, no, I was going for those 4th downs because I'm so confident in the defense. Lies.
Yeah.
Flatly lies.
A little bit of a fib, yeah.
He felt the way everyone watching that game felt, which is the Packers are going to score whenever they want.
Yep.
Guys are just going to be open, so you better maximize your offensive possessions. Now, to Dennis Allen and the defense's credit, they truly, even more so than the offense, flipped a switch immediately at halftime and were great. I thought that was playing over their skis a bit. The Rams, on the other hand, I do think have another level to get to defensively because where it is instructive to look at the entirety of the season was there a stretch of time where this team, and it's not like they lost someone to injury significant like a Micah Parsons, where the defense was awesome. So I just think the Rams will be able to disrupt the Bears a little bit. And something that is, I think, been wildly under-discussed nationally is the Bears losing their starting left tackle and is their best linebacker.
I mean, Tremaine Edmonds is supposed to be their best linebacker. He's been disappointing. But T.J. Edwards matters. Trapillo is their worst offensive lineman, but he matters.
And the guy who's replacing him was you know this better than me, but so tell me if I'm telling the audience wrong. The guy who's replacing him was their starting left tackle, got hurt.
Braxton Jones.
Trapillo came in, and they were like, actually, you're better than Braxton Jones.
Yeah.
So you're going to stay in. That, to me, for a Rams team that has shown you in spots this year, they can have a scary pass rush. I don't love that.
No, I don't love Jared Verse coming off and whatever's going on with left tackle. I do think, and I know you guys made fun of me for it, but I was there, so I'll just say that it's going to matter again. It might not be the cold, but the crowd will be a factor.
See,
and I know Stafford is a vet, and they can handle it and all of it. But when you put in sub-zero temperatures, the noise in that stadium, and Caleb Williams he just says it's belief. I called it magic. Whatever. Like they are not out of it. So there is not a score at halftime that will have this team out of it. Like this, I think this is a 4th quarter game.
So I agree with you that they won't feel like they're out of it. I do wonder if the crowd has it in him again. This was
the house money game, because I will say
that was such a, and people and folks, by the way, should 100% go to Danny or our social feeds to see Danny's monologue from yesterday if you didn't see it, about why that game was, almost literally a religious experience for him and his family. But metaphorically, that was such a special moment for that team against that rival and that comeback that it is hard for me to believe that the crowd is going to be as much of a factor as it was in that game. And last year, this Rams team, that Philly stadium, when Saquon's smacking himself on the head running in the snow, is as loud as any stadium was all year. And Stafford walked him down twice and then had it right there. I just don't think he's going to be impacted the way Love was.
I'll just say this. NFL Films put out a cool, mic'd up video.
It, yeah.
And because I hadn't seen this piece of it yet, but, Caleb coming into the locker room right after the game and immediately being more to come. I totally buy that this is a house money game for Bears fans. That the season is already A+. Got the coach, got the quarterback, beat the Packers twice. Awesome.
Danny has a really interesting take people should check out about how the Bears are the second most
You're just
successful.
a bad guy. You're a bad friend.
No matter what happens, we can all agree the second most successful season this year is the Chicago Bears.
It's whoever wins the Super Bowl and then the Chicago Bears. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting take. And Nick came in today.
He wanted to do that as a topic. And I was like, I think it's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Set his lunch down in my office and said, that was a dumb take.
That was a dumb take. But just so
who
everyone
cares?
knows. Who cares?
But I'm just saying, not house money for the team, house money a little bit for the fans. You're a bad guy.
And Danny also watched that 5-minute video. This is my recreation of Danny watching that 5-minute video. Am I going to be in it? There's the crowd shot. Is that my section? Is that next
little disappointed?
Yeah.
I need the whole outfit.
I know.
I
the whole thing.
Featured
You're
NFL
watching
films.
it. Said they show fake Ditka. I know. You were pissed.
A little disappointed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Again, bad guy. To Seattle. In addition to the injury report 30 minutes ago, you're so proud of yourself. Sam Darnold listed as questionable with an oblique injury. Here he is, though, running around on the practice field. But he also is still able to speak in addition to jog. Seahawks still favored by 7. Line not moving by this injury designation. Do they deserve it? Do they deserve to be a full touchdown favorite against the Niners?
I don't think so, and I think they're going to win. But I don't think they deserve to be a 7-point favorite because I understand they won the last game they played by 10. Correct. But it was that game was in the balance. It was 10-3 late. Yep. There was and the Niners are driving. McCaffrey bobbled pass, interception, game over. I think the Niners, their coaching and their play calling and their offense as a whole and the defense just ability to figure out how to make just enough plays have earned enough respect to say they can keep it close. And I think Seattle's better. I think Seattle has a long list of advantages in this game. Obviously, they're more rested. Obviously, they are more healthy. But 7 points is a big number, and I don't think the Niners are getting blown out.
And we did a very similar topic this time last week on Niners-Eagles, and I said that the Eagles, it was more likely blowout or Niners upset.
Yeah,
and
how'd that one go?
I said
Niners
blowout.
Upset,
Nope. I was wrong, and part of my analysis was coming off of that Niners-Seahawks game, which I thought was it jumped off the screen, one of the most physical games in the NFL this year, then having to go play Philly, who had rested its guys in Week 18, thought it would be too much. Well, in that game against Philly, the Niners just got more injured. Now George Kittle is out for the season, and Seattle gets to sit home and rest up and play this team. And you're right, that game was in the balance, and these teams have now played 8 quarters of very close football, Week 1 and Week 18. But I'll put more emphasis on the Week 18 game. That was the worst offensive performance the Niners have had since Kyle Shanahan has been their coach. It was the fewest rushing yards for Christian McCaffrey. It was tied with the fewest points since his first game as the coach. They had 174 yards, their fewest yards. Yes, the game was close, but the Niners did dominate the Seahawks dominated the Niners offense, and now you add in more injuries, rest in Seattle. I do think Seattle deserves it.
So I understand, I get that side of it, but the other side of it is this Niners defense is not more banged up than it was in Week 18. And that was the second straight time they played Seattle and held them to exactly 13 points.
That's true.
Like, for some reason, Robert Saleh has had a really good beat on this Clint Kubiak Seahawks offense. He's had a good beat on Darnold, and they have been able to put a lid on Njigba. And so if I think Seattle is going to struggle to score 24, I just feel like that to me is a game that is a 3 or a 4 point margin. It would be very, very surprising to me. I was not surprised the Niners beat the Eagles. I would be very surprised if the Niners win this game. I think that, and I understand every time Shanahan's made the playoffs, they've made the conference championship game or further. I think that much like I feel like with the Bears, I think this is where this ride ends. I just don't think they're going to get blasted. And to me, a 7-point margin in the divisional round means you think they're going to get blasted.
Yeah, and I think they will. Again, we define blowout as double-digit win. If you're not going to force Sam Darnold to make mistakes, and they don't pressure the quarterback, I think Darnold's going to be fine.
He scored 13 points both times they played.
But he didn't turn it over. It was an efficient 13 points. It was an efficient 13 points.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.